Live around the world, this is Paper Cuts.
Why don't we start our own show?
With Brad Proctor.
I forgot to break up my fancy straw.
You sound insane. Do you realize that?
And Jay Maddox.
We are called Paper Cuts? Who came up with that name?
We need like some name tags with our picture on it, all laminated and whatnot. I mean, we gotta look legit, man.
We are live.
Holy cow, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. What is going on? It's a Saturday night, and for some of us, it's a stormy Saturday night. So you might be looking around saying, hey, where's Brad? This is Brad's channel, but where's Brad? Well, you know, it happens. If it rains in Kentucky, the whole state loses power. So we may be with Brad tonight. We may not be with Brad tonight. We don't know yet. He'll join us if he's able to. What's up, guys? Another exciting episode of Paper Cuts. I'm Jay Maddox, running solo for now. Well, we'll get through it. It is actually Brad's birthday, so I'm just wondering if he really did lose power or if he just backed out because I don't know. Maybe he's got a special birthday gift going on somewhere and didn't tell us about it. A surprise party, maybe. We won't let him live that down. But nonetheless, the show must go on. So with me tonight, this evening, guys, we have we have a scary son of a bitch right here. All right. If you've read any of his work, you know what I'm talking about. It's the kind of work you just want to say, come here, buddy. Just tell me what happened. Let me give you a hug. You know it. Deep down, he's probably like the coolest guy in the world. A very happy, go lucky guy. But if you read his stuff, wow. You have to do it in spurts. You have to a little bit at a time. All right, everyone, just say hello to Brian Bowyer. What's going on, Brian?
What's up, Jay? Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
My pleasure, man. Normally it's a duo, but we'll see what happens. We'll see if Brad gets in here or not.
Right.
What's going on? You told me you're traveling right now. You're not even at home. You're making your way around the world.
Nah, just the state.
Okay. Just want to.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I live in Prospect, but I'm in a hotel room in Marion right now.
Yeah, you know what? You're really just probably normally maybe an hour away from me. So,
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Columbus is not far from where I live.
Right. So you're just trying to get out of your town right now for the weekend. You and the missus getting away.
Yeah, we do that a lot.
Do you have one of those fancy hotel rooms where they leave a little mint on your pillow, or is this just
sometimes, occasionally?
Okay, so we have a few things planned for this evening. For those you don't know, Brian Bowyer, he's got like a long library of work that he's released, and we're hopping all of that. We're going to have a little reading from something he's working on right now, something that's finished that he's getting ready to release. And I understand you are a guitar virtuoso.
Oh, I don't know about all that.
Come on. Hey, what do you say you go ahead and pick it up and give it a shot? You want to do it now? You want to kick things off right now with that?
Yeah, I can do that. Like I said, I'm only gonna play for like a minute because I'm in a hotel.
Totally got you. Yeah, man. Is anyone knocking on the door yet? Knocking on the wall?
Not yet. Could you hear that?
It was fine. It was fine. Yeah. All right. So I mean, we're getting some music talk too, also, because you you and I are rockers. That's one thing Brad's missing out on. I think he listens to some like 90s pop stuff. I'm not sure.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so he doesn't want to admit it, but that's what's going on. So let's take a look, see who's in the chat. Of course, Nikki's here. Hey, Nikki, what's going on?
Hello, Nikki.
It's Brad's birthday. He's busy. Yeah, he's probably busy partying, by the way. And I think that's why I'm looking at my phone. If you see me look over, I'm seeing if he's able to get in or not. That's all. No biggie. My buddy Lewis Stevenson, way in the UK, by the way. It's tomorrow right now in the UK, but he's staying up to check us out. Appreciate it. Him and Nikki are having a little conversation here.
Hello.
NW Reader is in the house. Justin in the house. The Blackacre Doe. By the way, he just started doing reviews.
Ibanez.
Yeah. He does a lot of Slipknot covers. And he started doing some book reviews recently. So that's pretty
nice.
Cool. Everyone's just hanging out in the chat. Let's see what Leslie's got. She's already got questions. All right. And that takes us to a good entry here for your work. What book of yours should people start with?
Perpetual Dread is probably a good sampler platter, or Apocalypse, or Sinister mix. One of those three, probably.
Yeah, not Road Harvest?
Or Road Harvest, yeah.
Okay. Those are 4 that I hear about the most. And those are ones that stick with me the most. Apocalypse. Perpetual Dread, I think, was the first one of yours that I read. And I did it around Christmas time, so that shows you how dark my thinking is.
My personal favorite is Shelf Life, by the way.
Which I have. Which is, ironically, I have it on my Kindle, and I haven't gotten to it yet.
Nice.
So let's hop in Perpetual Dread. I mean, those are dark. Those are on the verge. Some of them on the verge of being splattered, on the verge of being extreme. But it seemed like you were able to bring them back. Was that on purpose, or did you just want to go as far to the edge as possible and just kind of look over, but come back a little bit?
Dude, I have no idea. When I write, man, I just get these characters going, and then I'm watching the show, and I'm just writing it down. And then when I'm writing it down, I'm like, well, I may as well try to make it coherent. But I'm just like watching a movie, every story, and I have no idea what's going to happen. And then when I get to the end, I'm just like, oh, okay. Well, that was fun. And then there's usually another one. Usually before I even get to the end of one, there's another one clamoring to be written. And I'm like, hold on, man. Let me finish what I'm working on here, and then, but yeah, that's just what I do.
So when you're writing, are you just letting it go, or are you plotting everything out?
I'm just watching what happens. I mean, at first I might have an idea, I'll start with these characters and I'll have an idea, but it never goes anywhere even remotely near what I initially thought. And then I'm just along for the ride, man, having fun. This is what amuses me. This is what entertains me. And I have a lot of fun with it.
I think it was Ross Jeffrey. I saw he did a little review on Perpetual Dread, so I had to pick it up because the way he just boasted about it, it just was awesome. And for those who have not checked out Brian's work, I've talked about it in some of my reviews. You have that straightforward prose where, I mean, you're right to the point. You're just directly to the point. I mean, is that just the style you like the best? I mean, to me, I was talking to a buddy earlier, Lewis Stevenson, who's actually in the chat, and we both kind of agree that's like a Richard Lehman side type of writing where he's just straight to the point, right to it, not beating around the bush. I mean, is he one of your influences? Is that what you set out to do all the time?
I've read a lot of Richard Lehman. I guess everybody I've ever read has influenced me to some degree, but I used to write longer sentences and longer stories. It was a little more descriptive. And then like the mid 2000s, man, I read a Chuck Palahniuk novel. Right. And I didn't even really like it. Well, I can't remember which I think it was Fight Club, because I'd seen the movie and I loved it. And then I started reading Fight Club and I was like, I actually like the movie better than this book. But this dude's writing is off the chain, man, because it's just so stripped down. And it just like resonated with me. And I was like, man, I want to write more like this dude. It's like, this dude's too cool for long sentences. This dude's too cool for these big, dumb words that nobody even needs to use. You know what I'm saying? I was like, too descriptive, too much to take in. Yeah, get to the point. Keep it flowing. Not telling you what the wallpaper looks like. You know what I'm saying? Right. Or what the carpet looks like.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but
Yeah.
but I think that's the big thing. Every writer needs to find their flow, their style, and stay with it. And that's what I would say your flow is, your style is, because it's so direct and straight to the point. No frills over the top. 16 pages of describing the scenery. We don't need that with your style, especially with the subject matter you write about.
Yeah,
which we'll get into that here in a second too. So you read Polinick. Was there something that you read before that made you decide, you know what, I want to write? Or was it like grade school when you wrote your first horror story and your teacher freaked out?
No, man. I never read anything except the Bible when I was a child. And my parents made me read the Bible, and I hated that. But I never read anything until I was 16. I was in juvie hall, locked up. And there was this correctional officer, an Italian dude named Moscar. And he asked me if I ever read anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I know how to read, but no. He was like, I know that, smart ass, but if I bring you something, will you read it? And I'm like, what the fuck else am I going to do?
Exactly.
He's like, well, here's the deal, man. He said, I'm getting ready to go on vacation for 7 days, but I work tomorrow, so I'm going to bring you 2 books. And he brought me Stephen King's collection, Night Shift, and his novel, Pet Cemetery. And I read them both that day. I read the collection that day and then the novel that night. Because in Salem, you didn't have cellmates, and you had your own light switch.
Right.
And they locked you could leave your light on all night, and you could read all night. So that's what I did, and I was hooked. And then he went on vacation, and when he came back after that, he started bringing me like a book a day. And he was a major horror fan. He had everything, all the Jack Ketchum, Richard Blayman, Clive Barker, everything that was available at that time. This was 1989, and there was a lot of horror fiction available already in 1989. So it was like literally being in a university of horror fiction.
Mm.
And see, I would be in there for like 6 months, and I'd get out for a little bit, and then I'd get locked back up. And he'd be like, oh, you're back. And because when I'd get out, I wouldn't read anything. I was too busy doing the other stuff.
Right.
But then I'd get locked up, and then I'd get right back to reading. And so I had that. But it wasn't long, man. I started like wanting to write. I was like, man, I think I could do this.
Right.
And
right. So you got a foundation now, Jack Ketchum and Richard Lehman and Stephen King. I mean, that's a kick-ass foundation to have.
Oh, yeah.
For anyone to have to check out the backstories and get started that way.
Oh yeah, I read everything in the genre.
Yeah. And like I said, it's that Richard Lehman sort of direct prose, straight to the point, which is pretty cool. It looks like where is it? Yeah, so Leslie just picked up Shelf Life, or she's in the process of picking it up. So go ahead and pick up Road Harvest while you're and then Apocalypse, Perpetual Dread, Sinister Mix. Sinister Mix is your latest short story collection.
Yeah.
How do you feel about doing short stories compared to novellas and novels? Because that's what now, 2 short story collections you have out, or do you have another one I don't know about?
No, that's it.
Okay. I mean, is that something you prefer to do, short stories over novels? I know you have novellas mixed in or too.
Yeah, I like all of it.
All of it, whatever comes to you.
Yeah. I actually prefer the novel because that gives me something to do for a while. Yeah. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You're already working on it, so it'll keep you busy for like 6 months or so. But a lot of people aren't reading novels.
Yeah.
Anymore. It's like, I think people prefer the novellas or the collections. So I may go more into trying to generate more novellas as opposed to novels. But
I think novellas really appeal to horror fans because who was I talking to? I was talking to someone who I was saying, a novella appeals because it's shorter. If you think about horror movies are like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, good horror movies are about an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes, which is kind of short, compared to other things. So the short story in the novella, I think that's why horror films fans really it appeals to them that way. But I mean, you did write a novel, Apocalypse.
Yeah.
And it was a fast read, even though it was a novel, and is that the longest thing you've read that you've written?
Fiction wise, yes.
Okay.
Probably.
Yeah. And it seemed like a fast read to me, even though it was a novel. What was the whole planning and idea about that? Did you think that was going to be a novel to kick things off, or was it a novella to turn into a novel?
No, what that was, Apocalypse, was like 4 short stories I had going that I really had no idea where they were going, and they just kind of stalled. And I started working on like a 5th short story, and I was like, you know what? These all just kind of swirl together, actually. And I was like, I could just do it like that. So I was like, chapter 1 was this part of this short story. Chapter 2, 3, 4, right back to that first chapter. That just continue on like that, and they all just met up in the end in that apocalyptic.
Yeah, I mean, for those who have not read, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but yeah, it seems like the 4 different storylines they start to weave together, which I love it when a story does that because it kind of catches you off guard. Yeah. So, how many total released books do you have? I was trying to count them and I lost count. I mean, I have the 4 we've talked about and a couple of other ones, but have you lost track too?
I'm not sure because I pulled 2 or 3, I think.
Yeah.
I've just made unavailable. And then, I have a lot of stuff that's not out yet. And then I have a lot of stuff that's nowhere near ready to be out. And then I have a lot of stuff that never will be out.
Right.
But so, I don't know. I think like 12, maybe.
12 officially. That's
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of them is an autobiography.
Yeah, it's an addiction memoir, but
okay.
Yeah. I never intended to write that. I got like halfway sober, we'll say. I got off all drugs and I stopped drinking around the clock. So, I only drink like from midnight to 6 a.m. now. I used to drink every second I was awake for years and decades. For decades I did that and took drugs. But now I've been drug free for like 8 years and been just drinking at night and holding down a job and like being functioning for like 4 years now. But at the start of that, Carissa was like, man, fuck all this fiction. You should write a book about your battle with addiction. And I was like, hell no, man. Ain't nobody want to read that shit. But then she was persistent. It's like, no, I should do it. Because she's heard a lot of my stories. I get drunk and I run my mouth. I got a lot of stories to tell, true stories. And so I was like, all right, let me see what it looks like. So I started writing it. And I was like, yeah, this could be all right. Then I got just a little bit into it. And I was like, man, no one's going to believe this. None of this. It's unbelievable. And she's like, so? And then I would get to certain parts. I'd be like, I can't put this in here. No one is going to believe this at all. But she's like, it doesn't matter. She's like, if you live to be 80 and there are parts that you omitted, you will regret it.
Right. If it's true, it's true. Right. So, yeah. So, I mean, if it's true, it's true. Put it in there. Yeah.
I keep losing my volume.
You're not losing power too, are you?
No, can you hear me still?
Oh yeah. You're fine. You're fine on this end. You're fine on this end. Yeah. As long as you can hear me, we're good to go. You good?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't want to cut you off with your story that you were in the middle of your story there. Let's see what we got going on in the chat here. Spooky Noodles is going to go read Apocalypse now. So that's pretty cool. Andreas is here. What's up? I think there's a question here. Blackacre Doe, any tips on getting started writing horror short stories? Also, who your influences on guitar? Playing was sick, by the way.
Any tips on getting started writing horror short stories? Yeah, just read a lot of horror short fiction, and then you'll just start writing them. I mean, you'll just want to start doing it. And it's okay to emulate your idols. If you like Stephen King, try to write like Stephen King for a minute and then see how that goes. And then, you'll just start writing. You'll develop your own voice quickly, man. Or if you like Clive Barker, anybody you like, if you want to copy them. Just, till you get started. And then, you ain't even got to show anybody that stuff, and then, that's my advice. Just read a lot and write a lot. There's really no other advice to give. You just got to read a lot and write a lot.
And I hear that a lot, actually. I've asked that question a lot of times. I think that's usually the answer. Read a lot, write a lot.
Yeah, that's it.
Your influences on guitar, he wants to know too.
Oh man, Dimebag, Daryl, Jason Becker, Steve Vai, Joe Satriani. It's an endless list.
There you go.
Benny Moore. And all the usual suspects.
Nick, our buddy Spooky Noodles here. He's he may try to write a memoir. I don't know. Go for it, Nick. Who's going to stop you from writing your memoir? Go for it. Go for it. Go for it. As far as your writing and your dark subjects and just dark, the dread overall, is there anything off limits that you won't write about?
No.
As long as it's interesting to you, you're going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, if it interests me, I'll write it.
You were telling me you went the longest you ever did without writing. So you actually do write something every day, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You went, what, 6 or 7 days without it, and it freaked you out a little bit?
No, it didn't freak me out. I usually don't go that long between stories, but sometimes you just got to make yourself. Just be like, man, I gotta at least slow down a little bit.
Right. I say we do another little guitar diddly. You want to do that now?
Do that. Yeah.
Let's do that. Wait for people to knock on the walls. Okay, we're clear.
Can y'all hear that?
Yeah, it's good. It's coming through. How long have you been playing guitar?
Oh God, long time. I'm 48 years old, and I started when I was 14, but I basically quit when I was 23. So 9 years I played, and I played a lot. I was in a lot of bands, in the late 80s and early to mid 90s, and then basically by the time I was 23, I quit playing guitar. And every once in a while, I'll just pick it up now and like write a song or something.
Did you get burned out on it, or what was it? Why'd you quit?
No, I basically just switched to writing. Okay. I started writing screenplays, and then I moved away and went to film school in Nashville for a couple of years, from 97 to 99. I didn't even take a guitar to Nashville with me.
No. What did you do at film school?
Screenwriting, 2-year course at Watkins University, downtown Nashville. I don't even know if it's still there. You'd have to Google it. Watkins. I guess it's still there. Watkins Institute.
Was it horror movies you were writing, or what were you writing for screenplays?
Combination of crime and horror. Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever sell any?
No. I moved to Nashville. My plan was to move on out to California when I finished film school. And by the time I graduated, I was 26 and my son was 6.
Yeah.
And he was still in West Virginia. So I could drive back to West Virginia and see him every weekend. It was only like a 7-hour drive. So I was doing that for 2 years. And it was really hard being away from him, just seeing him on weekends, because I was used to seeing him more often than that. And because he was 4 and I was 24 when I left. And then when I graduated, he was 6 and I was 26. And I just changed my mind. I said, fuck it, man. I'm going back to West Virginia, man. I don't want to be that far away from my son.
Right.
So I didn't even go to California. I just went back to West Virginia, ended up buying a house and stayed there until he joined the Marines a year after he graduated. So I was there from like 99 to 2013. I stayed in West Virginia for like 14 years, all throughout the rest of his childhood and into adulthood.
Is there any kind of connection for you between music and your writing? I know some people like to say that their writing, their words are kind of a lyrical form. I mean, do you ever have like a tune in your head when you're writing? Is there any connection at all? It's just totally two different worlds.
Completely different. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even listen to music when I'm writing, unless I'm writing lyrics, of course.
Yeah.
But,
see what's going on. By the way, Nick's saying the speakers can't handle the awesomeness of your if you're playing.
I'm glad he can hear it, man. It sounds weird in this room to me.
Well, I mean, you're in a hotel room, of course.
Yeah.
Do you think there are any of your old scripts that you could adapt into a book?
Oh, probably. It'd be a lot of work, but yeah, probably could.
Did you keep everything that you did?
Not everything, but a lot of it. And
no.
Yeah, I love writing screenplays. That's fun, man. I mean, it's not that much different. It's all just, you just set the scene and then you just got, what's going on and then dialogue. That's basically it.
Right. So, I mean, when you're doing your writing your books, I mean, you just said that it's playing out like a movie in your head, basically.
The whole time. Yeah.
So, yeah. So I can definitely see the connection between those.
Yeah. When I am writing, I'm like every actor in the movie. I get to play every role.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm everybody. Every character in that story, I am that person. Yeah. I'm seeing the world through their eyes. So it's a very fun way to try on a lot of different skins, as Clive Barker would say, incarnations.
What was it you were telling me the other day that when you're at work, they tell the new people, you're not ignoring them, you're just writing in your head?
Yeah. I work in a factory that requires no brain power. So my brain is free to just do whatever it wants.
So you have that constant dialogue that's
always
nonstop. Who do you run your stories by? Does your wife read them, or does anyone else check them out before you put everything together?
Yeah, she reads them. She catches typos for me and stuff.
Does she? She's like your first editor then.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's good.
When
I hand her something, it's really clean.
Yeah,
trust me. I used to edit a lot. I was a freelance editor, so I mean, I can say with authority that my stuff is a lot cleaner than the vast majority of stuff that came across my desk. I mean, because I'm like very self-conscious. When I hand something to somebody, I want it to be like, I want them to hand it back saying, you just wasted your money. I didn't find anything. But that never happens.
Exactly.
I mean, there's always something you missed, but yeah, it's pretty clean when I give it to her. But she still finds stuff. Yeah. A lot of where I meant to say he, I typed her.
Yeah.
Her handed her the bottle instead of he handed her the bottle.
I mean, it always helps to have an extra set of eyes because you start to glaze over your own stuff every now and then. Does she get totally freaked out by any of the darkness or?
Oh yeah. She doesn't like horror fiction.
So she doesn't. She only reads yours. She doesn't read any other horror fiction or anything like that.
No. She's no. She doesn't like that at all.
Is it one of these things like when you guys go to meet up with family and stuff, and she's like, "This is Brian. He writes horror."
Oh, they all know.
Okay.
They all know that. They all like me. Her mom loves me. Her brothers like me. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about this work in progress here. Let me see if I get this up and running. Flush Rehearsal.
It's finished.
Ready to go.
Yeah, it's finished.
Let's see if we could get the.
I have 4 books that are finished right now that aren't out.
Let's try this. Let's see if it shows up here. You know what? We're not going to do that. What do you want to go ahead and hop in and maybe do a little bit of a reading? You want to check out the first chapter? You said it's kind of long, right? Do you want to break it up, or do you just want to go with the whole thing?
No, I'll just spit the whole thing. It ain't that long, I don't think.
Okay. So this is Flush Rehearsal. This should be the next thing we get from you, right?
Possibly.
Okay.
This is not going to be chapter 1, by the way. This is going to be your first introduction to a delusional schizophrenic named Ludlow. And he is a drummer in Los Angeles. He's in his early 20s. And his father owns an underground nightclub, and it's called The Underground. And it's a wildly successful bar right in Los Angeles. And there's a whole bunch of crazy stuff going on. Anyway, this is Ludlow. This is your first introduction to Ludlow.
Go for it.
And off of his medication because he doesn't like the way his medication makes him feel. All right. To Ludlow, downtown Los Angeles resembled a neon circus at night. He parked near an old hotel and took off walking down Broadway. Teenagers and 20-somethings crowded the sidewalks, either drinking, talking, or laughing, many of them uploading their memories to social media. Loud music thumped from most of the nightclubs that he passed, but Ludlow had no interest in those places. He preferred the secret entrances and darkened staircases of subterranean nightclubs, places he had to descend beneath the city's streets to enter. And his father's club, the Underground, was his favorite of them all. In his father's club, he knew where the security cameras were located. Ludlow made his way to the Broadway Arts Tower, beneath which his father's club was located in both the basement and the sub-basement of the building. He followed a metal fence alongside a brick wall at the northwest corner of the parking lot to the secret entrance, then descended to find a massive man standing at the bottom of the stairs. Tall, bald, muscular. He wore a leather jacket and battered jeans over boots the size of tree stumps. Ludlow knew the doorman, but couldn't remember his name. Ludlow, what's up, bro? You still playing drums? Yeah. You in a band right now? Nope, not at the moment. Last band I was in broke up. Listen, man, I've been jamming with a couple of dudes, and we still need a drummer. You should come and jam with us sometime. Cool, might do that. You want my number? Sure. Ludlow took his phone out. The man told him some numbers, and Ludlow pretended to key them into his phone. Then he put his phone back in his pocket. Is my father here tonight? The doorman shrugged. I don't know, man. If he is, I haven't seen him. Ludlow nodded. Seriously, though, the man said, don't forget to call me. Ludlow nodded again. Then he went inside. Recessed lights glowed red in the walls of a dim hallway. He could hear voices down the hall and the repetitive bass of music in the distance. He turned left at a bend in the hall and encountered another large doorman whose massive arms were crossed in defiance. The doorman's eyes lit up and he smiled with recognition. Ludlow, what's up, man? How you been? Not bad. Have you seen my father tonight? Nope, haven't seen him. Ludlow nodded. Take it easy. He continued down the hall. The muffled bass opened up to a loudness of drum beats and guitar riffs as the hallway expanded into a cavern, a huge room filled with dark lights and metalwork that always evoked in Ludlow the feeling of a post-apocalyptic lair beneath the city. The place was packed. A dance floor occupied the center of the room, surrounded by tables and leather couches lining the walls. Several doors in the walls led to other long hallways and numerous private rooms of varying sizes. Ludlow made his way to the long mahogany bar, sat down on a leather stool, and ordered a glass of whiskey. He had only taken 2 sips when the woman to his left looked at him and smiled. Hi, Ludlow. Like everyone else in the club, she had to yell to be heard. Do you remember me? He found her attractive. She looked vaguely familiar. Of course, he said, but I'm really bad with names. I'm Haley. I used to date Shane. You and 1,000 others, he thought. Shane was the lead vocalist in the last band Ludlow played drums in. He smiled. It's good to see you again, Haley. Likewise. She took a drink from a cocktail glass with a little umbrella in it. I heard the band broke up. Yes, we did. What happened? Ludlow shrugged. Creative differences, I guess. Haley finished her drink. You want to get out of here? I've got some DMT. DMT? Yes. Have you ever done it? No, but I've heard of it. That's a psychedelic drug, right? Yes. It's one of the most potent hallucinogens on the planet. I'm schizophrenic, Ludlow said. Doctors have told me I shouldn't take hallucinogens. DMT won't hurt you. Hell, it might even help you. Help me? Yes, Haley said. It's a naturally occurring chemical found in both plants and animals. It's used for ritual purposes and shamanic ceremonies. It's produced in the human brain and our pineal glands, and small amounts are released when we're asleep. It's what gives us our crazy dreams. And trust me, a DMT trip is better than any fucking dream you've ever had. So it's kind of like LSD? Haley shook her head. Oh no, it's much better than that. Plus, an acid trip lasts for several hours. A DMT trip only lasts for about 10 or 15 minutes. You should smoke some with me. Ludlow finished his whiskey. Where at? We can go to my place. I only live 5 minutes away. I'm renting a house over on Maple Avenue. Ludlow shrugged. Okay. He stood up, and then Haley stood up too. I'm parked at a hotel down the street, Ludlow said. Okay. They left. She drove him to his car, and then he followed her to a one-story house on Maple Avenue. A two-car garage was attached to the house. Both garage doors were down. The driveway was empty. Haley parked in front of the garage door nearest the house, and Ludlow parked beside her. They got out and went inside. Haley turned on a light. Nice place, Ludlow said, casting his gaze around the living room. The interior was clean. Thanks, Haley said. I'm splitting the rent with a friend. She's currently out of town. Make yourself at home. Ludlow sat down on the sofa. Haley left the room. She returned moments later with a glass pipe and joined him on the sofa. What's with the gloves? I'm a germaphobe, Ludlow said. Haley cocked her head. Will you be okay to share this pipe with me? Yes. It's just my hands. I have this morbid fear of getting flesh-eating bacteria on my hands. If I lose my hands, I won't be able to play drums. And if I can't play drums, I'll lose my fucking mind. Haley laughed. Dude, you've already lost your mind, but hopefully this DMT will help you find it. She put a sandwich baggie on the coffee table, pinched some white crystals from the baggie, and placed them in the pipe. After she lit the pipe, they passed it back and forth a couple of times. And then Ludlow entered another dimension. The fabric of reality became a kaleidoscope of bright colors and rapidly moving images, and he found himself surrounded by little entities of extremely high intelligence who communicated with him telepathically. Whatever the entities were, he knew beyond all doubt that they were benevolent and only wanted to help him. They expressed that they had mastered many secrets of the universe, and they seemed not only eager but desperate to share their imperial wisdom. Time passed. Eventually, Ludlow found himself back in Haley's living room. He looked down. Haley sat on the floor with his penis in her mouth. She took his throbbing erection all the way down to the base of the shaft. Working her head up and down without even the slightest hint of a gag, she grabbed his hips and pulled him forward to shove even more of him into her mouth. The sensation was incredible. Unable to restrain himself, he exploded in her mouth. He thought she would pull away when the semen hit her tongue, but she did not. She pulled him in closer and sucked down what seemed like more semen than a human body was capable of producing. Ludlow's eyes rolled back in their sockets. His toes curled as convulsions racked his entire body. The orgasm obliterated all thoughts. Then she bit down hard and snapped him back to reality. Her teeth were like two guillotines that cleaved through the meat of his penis. The pain, coming so quickly after such incredible pleasure, did not register immediately. Shocked, he tried to pull away, but her grip on him was too strong. She somehow managed to keep him trapped against her. Then she swallowed both his entire penis and the blood that now flowed from where his penis used to be. Ludlow screamed. Agony blasted through his body. He began thrashing madly, trying to push her away. Bitch! You fucking bitch! You bit my goddamn dick off and fucking swallowed it! He lashed out with his arms and his fists, bashing her on the head and trying to wedge his hands between her face and his gaping wound, but nothing could stop Haley from drinking his blood. Ludlow felt his strength draining away. He closed his eyes. It's not so bad, he thought. It's only death. It comes for us all. Chapter break. Ludlow opened his eyes, stunned to be alive. He was also surprised to be standing in Haley's living room holding a fire extinguisher. No longer in pain, he saw no blood soaking the front of his pants. He set the fire extinguisher on the sofa. Then he pulled his pants down to see if he had a penis. He did. Haley had not eaten it. Evidently, the entire experience had been either a psychedelic hallucination or a schizophrenic delusion. He pulled his pants up and went into the kitchen, looking for Haley. He found her dead on the kitchen floor in a pool of blood, only recognizing her by the clothes and her hair. The pretty face he remembered from before no longer existed. It was now just a smear of red on the linoleum. Her whole head had been reduced to lumps of brain, bits of tissue, and shattered bone fragments. Apparently, he had smashed her head to smithereens with the bottom end of the fire extinguisher. I need to start taking my meds, Ludlow thought. Still wearing gloves, he grabbed a bottle of beer from Haley's refrigerator. Then he left.
I'm in pain. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Dude, that plays out like a movie. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
That was a trick.
that was nice. Yeah. So some reaction from the chat here. Yeah, Justin asking early on what could go wrong. NW
Right.
Reader says she lives on Maple Avenue.
Oh, Los Angeles.
Got well, she's she's trying to cover her ears. You got Nick laughing again. Well, damn. That escalated quickly. Yeah. Sounds like money.
Ooh.
Oh, dude, that was harsh. Priscilla, oh my god, yeah, freaking wasn't it freaking awesome? That's what I'm saying. More people need to check out Brian's work because that's what it is. I mean, it's to the point. It's to Andreas. Just damn. I think Nikki is speechless. Nice twist. Hey, Book Blather, that was intense, right? Oh, that's what we need. Nice. That is Flesh Rehearsal, correct?
Yes. That was chapter 9.
Chapter 9. How many chapters? Is that a novella or novel?
No, this is a novel.
Novel. All right.
Yeah. It's about 70,000 words, like 60 chapters. There's a whole lot more after this, man. That was like your first introduction to Ludlow.
I know you showed me the cover. I don't think Brad preloaded it on here. If you did, I can't find it. So that's my apologies. But yeah, the cover is sick too. Who normally does your cover for you?
Don Noble for Rooster Republic.
Rooster Republic. That's what. Yes. He's got his own little Brian Bowyer collection. That's nice.
He's a fabulous artist, man. Great artist.
Yeah, Nikki's saying that was an introduction. Chapter 9, an introduction. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think when this is released, I'm pretty sure you have at least 10 copies sold right now in the chat. So
oh, cool.
Yeah. Brad just sent me a message. His power's still out. I wish he was here to hear that story because I know his eyes would be, bugging out of his head. He'll have to go back and watch the replay and check it out. That was harsh. So your wife read that part, correct? Yes. Did she tell you to sleep on the couch that night, or nice twist too? Yeah, it is a great title, Justin. Yeah. L. Stockton's wanting you to read more. You'll have to buy the book. You'll have to buy the book. Yeah, Nikki, that sums it up. Well, shit.
No, I could read more from it. I don't care. It don't matter. Y'all want me to.
Let's save some. You got another chapter? We'll just throw us in there somewhere, or
I got the whole book right here in front of me.
We're not going to midnight reading this.
Oh yeah, it'd be a while.
Find another chapter. We're doing another chapter. What do we got to lose? It's totally up to you. It's your book. I don't know how much you want to give away before it's released.
Well, you want another one of Ludlow's Delusions?
Hell yeah. L. Stockton's planning to buy the book, and yeah, Nikki, like a live audiobook.
Trying to decide which one to read.
So I'm guessing there's a lot of delusions.
Oh yeah, it's like kind of like Apocalypse that swirls around multiple characters.
Good, yeah, good.
Like you got Ludlow's story, and you got his dad. His story: his dad, the owner of the nightclub, falls in love with this mother who's a private music instructor. She used to teach piano at UCLA, and she was married to one of the biggest rock stars on earth, but he committed suicide. And then his children, Jacob and Amelia, they're like otherworldly great fucking musicians. They inherited their dad's fortune, and they they take off. They have to go to Chicago because that's where their dad killed himself. So they have to go out there because Amelia turns 18, which is the age of majority, to claim her third of the inheritance or whatever. So, and her younger brother, Jacob, he's still 16. He doesn't get his inheritance, so he's 18, but he doesn't like to fly. So well, he didn't know that. So they fly to Chicago, and he has like severe panic attacks on the plane. So they have to buy a van and drive back to LA. And along the way, they meet this farm girl that ran away from home named Gretchen, turns out to be this incredibly gifted vocalist. So they're like, come and stay with us in LA. So she goes and lives with them, and they start a band, and then they need a drummer. And where Victoria, their mom, is dating Ludlow's dad, the owner of the nightclub, she's like, well, his son plays drums. They're like, Ludlow? Ludlow's fucking crazy. They're like, yeah, but he could play drums. So like, well, fuck it, he's in the band. So Ludlow's in their band now. This guy that you just met.
Right.
He's like, he's in his 20s, though, so he's like the ancient fellow in the band because they're all teenagers. So he's like, I'm the grandfather in this fucking band. But you know, they know he's crazy too. They know he is batshit fucking crazy. But he's a good drummer. Plus, he's basically like family now. So
yeah,
they just gotta like overlook some of his quirks.
I think he sold it. I think it's sold. I at least 10 people, 11 people probably going to buy it now from the chat. So
yeah, here's another delusion if you want one.
Go for it. Might as well. What else we're going to do on Saturday night except have delusions? Let's do this.
All right, that was the last one was chapter 9. This one is chapter 27. It doesn't matter. You could pick this one up anywhere and be like, oh yeah, there's Ludlow with one of his fucking delusions. All right, now he's staying in a hotel with a girl named Raven. She's a lesbian. There's no sexual tension there. She's a teenager too. She's 17, but she's an underground fighter. She could rip Ludlow's fucking head off with her bare hands, and he knows it. She kills men in the ring. She's an underground fighter in a death fight club. I mean, they fight to the death, and she usually fights men and kills them. And she ends up hooking up with that girl, the farm girl from Nebraska that Jacob and Amelia picked up, and they're driving back to L.A. The good singer, she ends up getting with Raven. But Raven and Ludlow would meet each other at this other weird fucking venue, and they become friends. And he goes and watches her fight, and he's like,
I think it's funny. I'm sitting here agreeing with you, like I've read it already.
Well, here they are in Raven's hotel room at the Highlight Motel or Motel. It's a cheap motel, Los Angeles, seedy. At the Highlight Motel, the screen of room 108's TV shadowed Ludlow as he sipped whiskey at the table by the window. Through the gap between the curtains, he saw his car parked outside in front of the door in the night beyond. Raven slept in the bed nearest the bathroom, passed out on morphine and alcohol. She wasn't fighting tonight, but he watched her kill yet another opponent in a boxing ring the night before. She ripped the man's throat out with her teeth. He had lost track of the days, but he was pretty sure this was either their 5th or 6th night at the motel. He did know, however, thanks to his phone, that they were now in the month of September. If they decided to rent the room for another week, Ludlow already told Raven he would pay for it. On the TV, set to a news station, a newscaster delivered the usual horror show: war in the Middle East, a school shooting in Minnesota, abductions and decapitations down in Mexico. Leaving the TV on, he stood up. He grabbed a half-filled water bottle of straight vodka and stepped outside. Before he closed the door, he made sure he still had a key card in his back pocket. Then he checked his car to see if the doors were still locked and took off walking. The night was warm. He walked aimlessly and soon found himself in an old industrial district. He passed old factories and mills undoubtedly full of machinery that had not been touched in many years. A lot of the buildings were old row houses of rotting wood and brick crumbling into ruin. He heard voices and laughter in front of a dilapidated warehouse and turned his head in that direction. He saw 3 men standing around a fire in a barrel on the parking lot's potholed pavement. He approached them. They were dressed in the tattered rags of homeless people. All 3 looked at him and smiled. In the firelight, he saw that all 3 were missing teeth, but none of them had horse teeth. One took a drink from a jug of wine before handing it to another. Suddenly, from seemingly out of nowhere, a delivery truck braked to a stop 6 feet to Ludlow's left. 2 men with machine guns jumped out and pointed them at Ludlow. His own gun, the snub-nosed .38, was loaded with hollow point bullets at the small of his back, but there was no way he could retrieve it and kill the 2 men before they killed him with automatic gunfire. One of the men had blonde hair, the other was a brunette.
Then a third man, presumably the driver, with bright red hair, came around from the other side of the truck and aimed a revolver at Ludlow's face. "In the back of the goddamn truck," the redhead ordered. Ludlow climbed into the back of the delivery truck. The blonde and the brunette, with their machine guns pointed at Ludlow, climbed into the back of the truck with him. The redhead slammed the door shut. Soon thereafter, the truck was moving. The ride did not last long. There were no windows in the back of the truck. Neither the blonde nor the brunette said a word, so Ludlow never said anything either. The truck stopped and Ludlow heard the engine shut off. Moments later, the redhead opened the door and they all got out. The blonde and the brunette kept their machine guns aimed at Ludlow. They had brought him to a huge burning building. The air was thick with smoke. He heard people screaming inside the building. At first, his vision was blurry. Then his eyes adjusted to the brightness of the flames, and he could see clearly. A line of fire raced across the Los Angeles Hospital for the Criminally Insane sign above the main entrance. What the fuck? Ludlow had never heard of a hospital for the criminally insane in Los Angeles. A fireball ascended off the roof into the night sky. The explosion caught the blonde, the brunette, and the redhead by surprise, causing all three to step back. Broken glass landed on the asphalt at their feet. The blonde and the brunette kept their machine guns aimed at Ludlow, however, as he listened to the hum of his now possibly inflamed eardrums muffle the sounds of the chaos all around them. Another explosion knocked a team of fire responders over, and they dropped a massive hose they had all been holding. It thrashed on the parking lot like a giant anaconda, striking a police officer and slamming him against a cop car. Half a dozen firefighters tackled the hose and wrestled it under control. "Those explosions," the redhead said, "mean the flames have reached the boiler room." He turned to Ludlow. "Our leader is in that building. We're going inside to get him, and your dumbass is coming with us." Ludlow nodded. The blonde and the brunette kept their guns on him as all three followed the redhead to the main entrance. None of the cops or firefighters tried to stop them from going inside. The burning building was being evacuated when they entered. First responders were helping both hospital employees and patients toward the exit when a hallway ceiling collapsed to the left, crushing 4 firefighters. "This way," the redhead said, pointing to their right. The 2 gunmen forced Ludlow to follow the redhead down a hallway. As plumes of black smoke and hot air swirled around them, Ludlow imagined they were taking him to a dragon's lair. Over the fire's growl, he heard the crackling and snapping of timber as the building's foundation weakened. The hallway ended, and they stepped into a cavernous room with an abandoned reception desk. "This place is divided," the redhead said, waving smoke away from his face, "into 4 color-coded wards: yellow, purple, orange, and red. Our leader is in red ward. Follow me." A thunderous boom crashed down from the roof as he led them to a set of doors next to a keypad. Ludlow looked up fast enough to see a section of the ceiling buckle downward. A black shower of debris fell and buried the reception desk. Then a dark cloud shot through the room and covered them in soot. The redhead entered a code into the keypad, opening the double doors. After he stepped through, the 2 gunmen and Ludlow followed him into another room. The smoke thinned out, but the room was ablaze. Orange and yellow flames climbed the walls, and the nurse's station was on fire. Ludlow counted 4 corpses on the floor, but none of those women had died of thermal injuries or smoke inhalation. All 4 had died from blunt force trauma to the head. He knew they were women only because they were naked. Their faces had been beaten to unrecognizable pulp. "This way," the redhead said, then headed toward a hallway behind the nurse's station. The 2 gunmen and Ludlow followed him down the hall. All doors on both sides had been forced open. Some had even been torn off their hinges. In the first room they passed, Ludlow saw the corpse of an inmate in the remnants of a torn open, blood-soaked straitjacket sitting upright on the bed with its back against the wall, facing him. It had been decapitated. The man's severed head sat upside down on his lap. His hands were shoved down into his neck stump. Similar scenes of gore greeted them in most rooms they passed. At the end of the hallway, they came to another set of doors. The redhead spun on his heels to face Ludlow and the 2 gunmen. "Red ward's downstairs," he said. Then he turned back around, entered a code into a keypad, and opened one of the double doors. The 2 gunmen and Ludlow followed him down a flight of metal stairs. Despite the dimming light, Ludlow saw that Red Ward's walls were bare, not decorated with poor quality oil paintings like the rest of the institution. The floor was concrete. The walls were cinder block. He thought the place looked like a dungeon. He heard more of the ceiling collapse somewhere overhead, splintering wood, crumbling brick, the whoosh of fire finding a new outlet to the night sky. For a second, he thought the whole hospital might come crashing down on top of him. Then he felt one of the gunmen shoved a hand between his shoulder blades, urging him to keep up with the redhead. The four of them wandered into the dark. The last of the light vanished, and there was only blackness. The floor beneath Ludlow's feet became something he couldn't see but still believed in. He simply had faith that it was there and that he would not fall into a hole with each footstep, like he had faith that he would not crash into a concrete wall when he drove around a curve in his car. Straight ahead, at the end of the hallway, a door opened. Firelight flickered across the floor. The redhead raised his gun and approached the doorway. The two gunmen forced Ludlow to follow him through. He looked up. Flames had eaten away much of the ceiling, giving them plenty of light, but bringing the fire closer. He shivered despite waves of blistering heat. They passed an abandoned desk at a security checkpoint. "This way," the redhead said. He led them down a hallway lined with cells. They stopped at the last door on the left. The door was open. The redhead stepped into the cell, and the two gunmen forced Ludlow in behind him. A bald man sat on the floor in a corner with his head down. He looked up at them and nodded, but didn't smile. "I knew you'd come," he told the redhead. Then he rose from the floor and approached Ludlow, standing face to face with him. Ludlow noticed that their eyes were in perfect alignment. The bald man turned to the redhead. "Excellent work. He's exactly my height." Then he looked at the two gunmen and ordered, "Hold him down." The two gunmen wrestled Ludlow to the floor. They held him down flat on his back. The redhead put the muzzle of his gun to Ludlow's crotch. "Don't move. If you resist, I'll blow your fucking balls off." The bald man appeared overhead. He held up a hypodermic syringe. "Don't worry about him moving. One shot of this and the son of a bitch will be paralyzed." "What is it?" the redhead said. "Pancuronium." The bald man stuck the needle in Ludlow's neck. "They use it for euthanasia in the Netherlands." He pressed the plunger. "But don't worry," he told Ludlow. "That wasn't enough to kill you. Just enough to temporarily make you quadriplegic." Soon thereafter, Ludlow could move nothing below his neck. He couldn't even raise his head off the concrete. The two gunmen held him down nevertheless. The redhead, however, apparently satisfied with Ludlow's temporary paralysis, withdrew his gun from Ludlow's crotch and stood up. He shoved his gun into the waistband at the front of his pants. "Now we need to yank his fucking teeth out," the bald man said. He turned to the redhead. "Take his fucking clothes off." The redhead stripped Ludlow naked and then tossed his clothes out into the hallway. "Now," the bald man told the two gunmen, "one of you needs to knock his teeth loose." "I'll do it," the brunette said. He put his machine gun on the floor and straddled Ludlow. Then he drew a fist back and brought it down hard on Ludlow's mouth. Though paralyzed, Ludlow felt the blow. He felt blood spread across his face and felt his skull vibrate from the shockwaves the brunette's fist sent racing through his head. A second blow came, and then a third. After that, Ludlow lost count, unable to differentiate one explosion of pain from the next. He felt not only his teeth coming loose, but many getting knocked out of his mouth. The brunette never punched him in the eyes, however, so he was able to see his own blood splashing up onto the brunette's face and dripping from his knuckles. "That's enough," the bald man said, eventually. Winded, the brunette got up and backed away. The bald man gathered Ludlow's teeth. Once he had them all up off the floor and in his pocket, he straddled Ludlow and raised a pair of pliers. "I'll get the rest of his goddamn teeth with these." He bent over, forced Ludlow's mouth open with his thumbs, and shoved the pliers in. Then he extracted Ludlow's remaining teeth until his mouth was empty. Satisfied, the bald man stood up. He added the last of Ludlow's teeth to those already in his pocket. Then he looked down at Ludlow and smiled. Ludlow saw that the bald man's mouth was toothless. "Pulled my own teeth out this morning," the bald man said, "with these same pliers." He tossed the pliers aside. "I got my teeth right here in this cup, actually." He grabbed the cup,
held it up, and shook it. Ludlow heard the bald man's teeth rattle inside the cup. The bald man held the cup over Ludlow's face and turned it upside down, spilling his teeth onto the floor around Ludlow's head. Now my dental records are yours. When they find your body, they'll think your corpse is mine. The redhead pulled his gun from the waistband of his pants and stepped forward. Want me to kill him? The bald man shook his head. No, give me the gun. I want to kill this fucking piece of shit myself. The redhead smiled. No problem. He stepped closer and handed him the revolver. Now stand over there next to those two, the bald man told the redhead, indicating the blonde and the brunette. I don't want you to get this piece of shit's brains all over your shoes when I blow them out of his goddamn skull. The redhead walked over to where the blonde and the brunette stood in front of the cell door. The bald man aimed the gun down at Ludlow's face. Any last words, you fucking piece of shit? Ludlow had nothing he wanted to say. Resigned to his fate, he simply stared into the gun's gaping black muzzle and awaited the bullet that would send him to his mother. That bullet never came, however. Instead, the bald man raised the gun and shot the blonde, the brunette, and the redhead once each through the head in rapid succession, killing all three instantly. Then he looked down at Ludlow again, smiling his toothless grin. I'm going to leave you for the fire, you fucking piece of shit. Those flames are going to cook you like a chicken. The bald man left. Ludlow tried to move, but he could not. The muscle relaxant still had him paralyzed. Beyond the door, people screamed in the hallway. The flames were getting closer. He could feel their heat beginning to bake his face. Soon the devouring fire would come into the cell and eat him alive. Ludlow closed his eyes and smiled. I'm coming, Mother. I'll see you soon. He waited for the flames, but they never came. He opened his eyes and found himself standing next to the fire in the barrel on the abandoned factory's parking lot. The three homeless men lay dead on the pavement. Each had been shot in the forehead. Ludlow looked down at his right hand, which held the snub-nosed .38. He checked to see if it was still loaded. It was not. 3 bullets were missing. He looked at the 3 dead men again. One was blonde, one was brunette, one was a redhead. Had there been no bald man? No burning hospital for the criminally insane? Did he still have his teeth? Ludlow checked his mouth and was relieved to find he still had all of his teeth. I need to start taking my meds, Ludlow thought. He walked back to the Highlight Motel. Raven was awake when he stepped into the room. You'll never guess who I talked to, she said. Who? Your soon-to-be step-siblings. Ludlow set his gun on the table by the window and took his gloves off. Oh, yeah? Yes. Well, one of them, anyway. I talked to Amelia. She called and woke me up about an hour ago. Ludlow took a drink of vodka. What the fuck did she want? Acid, Raven said. I told her I could probably get her some tomorrow, but then she told me not to worry about it. She probably wouldn't be looking for acid tomorrow, but she is looking for you.
Oh, I think we lost him. I think we lost him, guys. Oh, just it was really getting good too. I think we lost him. There's weather moving in throughout Ohio and Kentucky, so I apologize. I'm gonna kick him out and see if he can get back in and try it this way. I appreciate everybody still sticking around too. Let me see if I can get him back in here. Anyone else like freaking out about that story though? I was so into that. Try the link again. I lost you. Okay, we'll see. We'll see if he. Yeah. I know, right? Book blather. Like I was like, yeah. It happens. Stupid. Yeah. So Ohio's getting some storms. Kentucky. That's why Brad's not here tonight. Kentucky got some storms, and it did just when I lost them. And like I don't know if you guys saw, I was like on the edge of my seat. So yeah, Priscilla, such a good reading. You getting storms too? Oh yeah, I think everyone is getting it on Saturday night. Saturday night storms. Hey, my buddy Clyde's around. Yeah, they'll pull it out of the teeth. Did anybody else see me cover my mouth when that happened? If we can't get him back, it's fine. It's been a great show so far. Hey, that's what we do here. What's going on, Andreas? Similar vibes from Hellas Landscape Suffer, and he puts the characters through. Yes, I'm glad you mentioned Baskin, by the way. Great, it is. So to sum it up, I don't know if we'll get Brian back or not because, like I said, it's some weather's moving through here, but I've reviewed, I believe, 4 of Brian's books. I know Brad just read Perpetual Dread, and you know what you're going to get with Brian's books. Okay, you're going to get stuff that he just read. There's going to be torture. There's going to be some booze. There's going to be drugs. There's going to be several things that you are going to expect to get from a Brian Bowyer book. And he's very direct to the point, and he's descriptive enough to keep you on the edge of your seat, and then he pulls it back a little bit, and you get so invested in the stuff he writes. So we'll go with that. I mean, I'm not going to. It's been a great show so far, and we're over the hour mark. I appreciate everybody stopping by. You can't control the weather, right? I'm missing my co-host. And by the way, it's Brad Proctor's birthday, so maybe give him a message later, everyone. Let him know happy birthday. But you know what? It's been, yeah, Pliers. I'll never look at it, Pliers, the same. Thanks, Nikki. I do appreciate it. Yeah, it's been such an awesome show. Thank you so much for everyone stopping by. This has been a pretty exciting episode, I believe. It was freaking awesome. I think he was going to do one more song on the guitar for us. It's fine. I mean, he's already went above and beyond what we were hoping to get out of him. So, Brian Bowyer, I'll talk to you here shortly once we hop off. Totally appreciate you stopping in and making this episode of Paper Cuts so exciting. So, for everyone in the chat, thank you so much for sticking through everything with us. Totally appreciate it. Hope everyone has a great night. Until next time, we have a show next Friday, so get ready for it. For my partner, Brad Proctor, somewhere in Kentucky without power, and our special guest, the one and only Brian Bowyer, thank you so much, guys. Have a great evening. Love you, Brad. Bye.